if I leave the lights on during this part, I'll feel slightly better about myself. One day I'm gonna have to start like saving these clips at the beginning where I'm just going like this and just make like a Meg Burns autism compilation. It's gonna be my special for next April Fools. Hi, I'm Meg, and I think I flew a bit too close to the sun with this project. EVA foam props and weapons are a very common thing to do among the cosplay community, and up until this point I have never made one, so I made one. But I didn't use any of the right materials and somehow still got something out of it? I wish I could have gotten the footage of me scrambling around the house to find a box cutter and sandpaper and things that would have saved me so much time, and then not finding it at all. Because I know we have those things. But like, they didn't want to show up for me at the time where I needed them. Let me give you the historical. Nah, let me give you the context behind this. Anyone who has talked to me for more than like 5 minutes knows that one of my main personality traits is being a NateWantsToBattle fan. So if you're unfamiliar with his work, watch the music video for Phantom, because that is where this initial idea came from. Phantom, the character, has become just as popular as Phantom, the song, like within the fandom space and then some. It's inspired a lot of merchandise, fan art, other things that we're not gonna talk about because that's a little weird. And I have mentioned before on this channel that I actually did a cosplay of this for Halloween in 2021. So I've just had this lying around for a year and a half, just sitting there ever since. I've just had this thing sitting in my room with no purpose, and I wanted to find a way to spruce it up, give it some new life, give me a chance to actually take it outside and use it for something. My friends threw out the idea of having a hidden weapon, like a sword or a dagger hidden in the cane, and we later found out that that was actually canon, so that's what I went with. So I have had this idea since February, March, and I have not gotten around to finishing it until now. What day is it? It's June 30th as I am recording this, because so much stuff got in the way, and we're gonna talk about that later. I think we should just get right into the process footage. I am sick of rambling. Let's go. I don't feel great, and I don't look great, so no face cam for this part. So if we closely inspect this thing, you'll see that the top screws off, and both this and the actual cane part are hollow. The goal is to like make something that I can attach here that fits inside here. Problem with that is it is very, very tiny. And I've worked with a lot of very tiny things recently. But that does not mean that this is not scary. And so the project had begun. I started out by making a paper template of what I envisioned the blade to look like. I measured out the bit at the end that had attached it to the handle, and then freehanded the blade itself. Because it's fantasy inspired and, well, fake, I did not care about practicality at all. I went straight for a fancy, curvy design. It's a little raindrop shaped tip. The only problem with not using a reference was that it took 2 tries to make it longer than the handle, but I got the shape I wanted right away, and I was ready to go on in only a few minutes. This was the shortest part out of everything. The next day, I fell off of a chair and pulled a muscle, so I had to delay everything by a week. Yay me. Okay, I'm still in pain, and it's super hot down here today. So I'm probably not gonna get a lot done today. We do finally have foam. 6 millimeters thick, I believe the package says, which should be enough. Feels pretty stable. And I also have a sort of finalized template. I'm gonna touch it up a little bit, then cut it out. I made a very bold outline for my drawing, so cutting it out would be easier. You know, like how a kid's craft looks. It kinda worked. Seemed pretty even. A perk about the blade being so small and me having this whole sheet of craft foam is that if I mess up, which I probably am gonna do, I could just make another. I'm tracing the template onto the foam here. Because the pencil leaves an indentation in the foam because it's thick and this is a sharp-ish object, I really only had one try to do this part. Then I cut it out with these tiny, blunt craft scissors? Girl, what were you thinking? This was the first technical mistake of several. I should have used a sharper tool like an X-Acto knife. Later I tried to find a box cutter knife that I know we own and tore apart the closet in the process of searching for it, only to find nothing. I am still very upset about it. I knew right away that the first blade was a dud, it had some tears in it, it wasn't cleanly cut out, and I planned to just use it as a template to make a second one. And I am so glad that I didn't go with this one, cause I think we're going back to square one. It doesn't fit. So in my mad dash, I found a letter opener that's about the right size and a much better width. So that's gonna be our new template. Take two. Started everything from scratch. Drew a new design with the correct dimensions, cut out a new chunk of foam, and used sharper scissors in lieu of a knife. Immediately, I like this design better than the first one. It's just better. It was more symmetrical, it had a cleaner shape, it was easier to cut out. I am actually so lucky that the first one didn't work because it gave me a chance to improve on what I already had and what didn't work about the first design. It was a good lesson in drafting. This is the first one, and this is the new one, and this is already a lot cleaner. It'll definitely look better when it's not this thick, but I now have a new conundrum. How do I sand it down? I'm trying so hard to make the legs of my tripod not visible and still have this in frame, but it's so difficult. This fits. I tested it. It just needs to be sanded down into a better shape. I tested out these teeny little sandpaper files that I found while I was on my mad dash for a box cutter, and they work, so let's get things even. Yeah, so barely any of the 30 minutes of sanding footage was in frame. Whoops. Just trust me when I say it was boring anyways. Half of it looked like this, and the other half of it was me going, did it work? Nope. Over and over again. I was physically and mentally exhausted by the end of this, so I just carved in a design and called it a day. The next morning, I tried again and failed again, so I heat treated the edges to melt off the stubborn foam bits. And, kids, don't try this without adult supervision. Fire dangerous. Okay. It's in the thing. And I'm trying to determine whether or not I like it enough to keep it as it is. There are still some bits that just aren't super smooth, but I do kind of like how the jaggedness of these edges kind of show its age, I guess? Like, you can tell that this is an ancient weapon that's been used for like 1,000 years because it has these imperfections from being used. I don't know how to describe it, but like, holding this feels right. I'm gonna wait and get some feedback from my friends, and then we're gonna move on to the next steps. I'm ready to mod some podge. This is for the purpose of just filling in all of the pores that the foam just naturally has, and it'll make the paint job go on easier, and hopefully it'll also like seal down some of the little bits that just will not go away. I also should not have used Mod Podge at this step. It stayed tacky for way longer than I thought it was going to and had a lot of residue flaking off. It did help with the paint job in the end, but no, never again. I can't tell how much gray paint I have left, because this was the bottle that got knocked over during the last project. I got more silver, but not more gray, because there was still stuff in there, but I don't know if it's enough. So we're gonna find that out today. By the time I started the paint job, I was starting to get sick of everything that had to do with this project. But I was determined to get it done because I was also sick of things putting it off. I feel like I reach this point in everything I do where I just want it to be over, so I just go really fast and try to finish everything. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because if you rush yourself, you are prone to more mistakes. That kind of happened here. I didn't let the coats in between dry as much as they should have, so there are a couple of bumps in the final paint job, but they don't show up on camera, so whatever, they're there. I am so grateful that acrylic paint, you don't need a lot of it to cover a lot of area, because I really did not have a lot when I opened this bottle. Like, there was not enough to like pour out on a palette and take from. I had to use the little bits that were inside of the cap and like dripping off the sides of the bottle to get enough. And I can safely say that that bottle is now gone. In the end, I don't know if I needed to layer this much gray paint on as I did, because the silver paint I got was much better quality than what I already owned. It went on so smoothly, it only took one layer on each side to get the shine that I wanted. And you want to know how good of a quality it was? The label on the back said it needed 2 hours to dry between coats. That's the real deal there. You can see that I'm painting it on right now, and right away it's shimmering just so beautifully under the light. It really made it feel not like real metal, but just prettier to look at. I loved this color, and I hope I can use it for more projects in the future. The final step was to use watered down black paint to make the edges look weathered and old and aged. And once all of that was smeared on with my finger and a paper towel, I could attach it to the hilt. That took hot glue, because of course we use hot glue a lot here. And then I was done, and it was ready to be tested out, which you will see in a moment. It was successful! It worked. I'm surprised it held up this well. I honestly thought that it was gonna get like super gross after going in and out and in and out and in and that's an innuendo that's gonna get me demonetized. Okay. I think it turned out better than I thought it was going to, for having no experience with this medium. But I still don't know how I feel about it. It's like, it's pretty good, but it's just not what I originally envisioned, and it took so much time and, God, I don't know. I just wish I had a little more confidence in it. Huh? Wait, hold on. Hello? I thought oh. Seems legit. Okay. Now what happens? Thanks again for taking a ride on the struggle bus with me. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you feel so inclined to do. And I'll see you probably in another month, okay? Thanks. Bye.